Today I'm doing another blowout, this time all in blues, and I'm using some blues that I haven't used before. And starting with this Liquitex fluorescent blue, which is semi-opaque, and then obviously phthalo blue, which is transparent. So I've mixed it with some Liquitex Prussian blue, which is opaque, in the hope that that will make it somewhat opaque, because I do need some darkness in the painting. And then cyan blue, which is a Pebeo colour, which is opaque. And then I've made a lovely minty green, white, titanium white, and emerald green. The titanium white is Pebeo and the emerald green is Amsterdam. And then I've got some pearlescent white, which is transparent. And then I have this lovely sky blue, which is opaque. So some people think it doesn't matter which order you put them in, if you use an opaque colour first or a transparent, but it does, because if you're going to put an opaque colour over a transparent colour, you're not going to see the transparent colour. So you need to put the transparent colours last. So I'm going to be trying to do that. I'm not going to be able to do it in all of them, because I'm going to do a mixture of blues in different places, because essentially fluorescent blue, which it doesn't actually say what the colour is, it's just blue, but you can see it's a slightly different shade to that one. But on some of them I'll do that combination, and some of them I'll do that, and some of them I might even add the sky blue light. And then the background is going to be this minty green. So welcome to Graceful Artist Eyes. If you've been here before, if you've decided to watch, please stay and watch till the end, and like and subscribe. Now this is a much larger canvas than I normally use. It's a 40 by 60, so it's much bigger than that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the flowers on the top first. I'm going to do them layer by layer, because I really want them to just blow out in little circles. And so now without the nozzle, you can see I've put down the colours, and I alternated the colours. So sometimes it was the cyan blue, sometimes it was the fluorescent blue, and then I put a little pearlescent on top of some of them. And with the hairdryer without the nozzle on, I'm just going to blow straight down and see what happens. They blew out quite nicely, I think. And now I've covered the rest of the canvas, and I didn't put pearlescent there and there. I really do like the way they've blown out. They almost have the, you can see the distinct colours in them. It has that effect. It doesn't always disperse exactly the way you want it. That's how it blew out. It blew out quite nicely, I think. Although the sky blue light and the pearlescent together were not really very effective. I need to go over those with a straw again. I'm just getting some big cells over there. It doesn't matter, I'll just paint over them in white. And maybe it's just too thick there, so I need to disperse it. But other than that, I did take the straw and I blew out wherever I saw there was too much of a collection of the dark blue, and it helped to bring out the phthalo blue. So I think it's going to be lovely. I'll leave it to settle a bit, and then I'll decide whether I'm going to shape it while it's wet or wait until it's dry before I add in more green around it to add the leaves and the stalks, and to shape the petals. Leftover green, I'm going to just try with that and a paintbrush and see what effect that has. And it's a very large painting, so if I mess it up, then I'm going to really have a big problem trying to fix it. And it's shortened underneath. Well, this brush, I should have wiped it in between each one, but it's difficult trying to record it and show you what I'm doing. But ideally, I should wipe it off in between each swipe, and then I made my paint a little thicker than I usually do. So I'll leave that for a moment and see, and then decide. Once I started, I just had to continue, but I can see that some of the lines are holding and some are not. Some are too thick like that one, and so that will hold. Unfortunately, the paint next to it isn't going to move unless I blow it back over. But there it's moving a little bit. Anyway, it's hard to tell what one should do. I mean, this one, these lines have all disappeared. But they're still there faintly. At any rate, I'm going to have to come back with the green once it's dry and shape the flowers, because they won't be proper petal shapes. But these colours are magical. There's some lovely pearlescent mixes there. So I think it It would be nice to do a bloom blowout just in the traditional way, where you just, lay the colours down and then blow them out into blooms and see how that looks, and then decide whether to keep that or not, or to shape it into something. But I'm very happy with these colours. I mean, they are absolutely beautiful. But it remains to be seen what will happen if I shape all of them. But having started, I can't leave some shaped and some unshaped, so I'm going to carry on and hope for the best. I decided to carry on making the shapes, and I changed the shape somewhat so that the petals are a bit bigger than I really would have liked them, but that's okay. The colours will move a bit. Some of them have already moved or are in the process of moving and disappearing. I did wipe it in between each swipe, but still, it's not exactly a very precise way of doing things. But that's okay. I will leave it and let it dry and see what happens, because all the flowers need to be different and, unique, not all exactly the same. I've tried to utilize all the colour as much as I could, but where it's not possible, it will just be background colour, or there will be leaves, there will be green in between. The minty green background may darken, I'm not sure. Normally it does, but it looks very pale at the moment next to the blue. You can hardly even see that there's any green there. So we'll see. We'll see how it dries by the morning. The paint dried nicely, although a far cry from what I'd hoped, because it's very dark. You can hardly see all the light colours. And there's a little bit of pearlescent there, and the pearlescent made the it doesn't show up on the pale blue. So I mean, that flower's just completely almost white. But that's okay, and that one's also very pale. There you can see a little bit of the pearlescent shining through. But the metallic, or the fluorescent, I don't know if that's fluorescent. I don't see much fluorescent of the fluorescent blue. It seems to have vanished. There's a bit of pearlescent there. So here's where you have to use your imagination, because I'm not using a photo. I'm using my previous painting as a guide, but that was painted entirely from my imagination as well. So deciding what to keep and what I'm going to paint where, and then trying to remember it afterwards. Like, not every pale blue flower will become a white daisy. Some will, some won't. And so those are the stalks and the leaves that I've added, and now I'm going to, with the mint green, I'm going to just paint away some of the outer parts of the petals. Although, no, I think perhaps I should first add in the blues that I want to add in. Well, that does it with the cyan blue, and now with the fluorescent blue, which is much darker and which is semi-opaque, whereas the cyan blue, the label states that it's opaque, but it doesn't look opaque to me. So let's see, maybe I've got them wrong, but this really does look like the fluorescent blue. So on the alternate flowers, I'm going to use the fluorescent to do the inner layer of petals. And that looks a whole lot better. What a difference colour makes. After leaving the paint to dry, I see that the second blue that I added in, which I thought was the fluorescent blue, it has dried nicely, but I don't see any fluorescence in it, whereas the other one, which I thought was the cyan, it does look a little fluorescent. So perhaps the other way around, but that would look better if it went over that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add another layer to that of the second blue, and then I'll add the fluorescent over the cyan here, if that's how they are going to look better. But first, before I do that, I'm going to add centers to all of these flowers so that I can really see my way around a bit better. So I'm just using this lamp black, and I can start anyway. Okay, the center is going to be here like that. And then once it's dry, I'll add in some little dots of pearlescent white, and that should complete it. Adding the centers definitely has helped me to see where I'm going now. And so I can definitely shape the flowers a bit better, and then come back and add the colors that I want to add. and the leaves that I want to add. So now I'm also going to first paint away the parts that I don't want to keep. And I'll start here. Maybe I'll start here. So, and see where that takes me. Well, each flower is going to be unique because, for example, this one, which is quite pale, I want to keep some of those nice blue parts. I'm going to just paint around them with the green, like that. Perhaps need to just step away from that one for a minute. That layer of blue made a huge difference, and I really shaped the flowers more. They were just a bit of a shapeless mess before. I've made a lot of progress now, and it's starting to take shape and to look more like that one. Although I'm beginning to prefer this one because the colours are so vibrant compared to that one. They're both pretty, but I don't know, the background here with the pale blue over the darker bits underneath, which I decided to delete because I didn't like certain parts of the flowers. That adds to the dimensions and to the background, and just gives a nice look, I think. But anyway, now I'm going to continue adding the stems and leaves because I need a whole lot more, and that will complete the look. The painting is definitely looking better and better. I added another layer of the lighter blue around the outer parts of the petals, but now I've decided that this flower and this one are competing with this one, which I want to be the central flower. So I'm going to make them smaller by adding white daisies or some other flower here and a white one there, and then pushing that flower upwards and pushing this one to hang downwards. And I'm finally getting there. I've added more black to the centers of the flowers and to the white daisies, and now I'm adding the yellow stamens, and then I've also added the stalks and the leaves to these new flowers, and then I'll just step back and let it dry and see. Maybe I need to just add a bit more blue of a different shade or pearlescent white here and there, just to sort of I mean, I want them to look like wild cornflowers, but I also want them to look kind of tidy, which is really just like wild abandoned cornflowers, which is fine. So I'll see how it looks once it dries. That is my completed painting. I added some pearlescent paint over the petals, and it was too much, so then I went back with some Prussian blue and a bit, but still left enough with pearlescent to give it that lovely sheen. I even put some pearlescent just very little on the white flowers, just to make them shine a bit as well. And then I also added some yellow to the green of the leaves. I mixed the yellow and green together and just went over that here and there because I just felt that the plain emerald green was just too bland, even though it's such a pretty colour, and it does go very nicely with this blue, but still, yeah. But anyway, I like the overall look and the overall effect of the painting. Blue is always so soothing and calming, and yet, flowers are always just lovely and soft and just a joy to look at. So I enjoyed painting it, and I hope you've enjoyed watching it, and I hope it will hang on someone's wall one day who will appreciate it. So thank you for watching, and please like and comment. Bye for now.